But it just goes to show that when it comes to farming, nothing ever works out the way that you originally planned it to.
Howdy doodle 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 doo. Howdy doodle 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 doo.
Howdy everybody. We encountered a number of challenges in dealing with the sheep that I wanted to tell you about as we enter into this journey. Now let me say that at the beginning we had a plan, and it was a pretty well thought out plan. The first part of the plan was that we were going to start small. We only got 2 sheep, and the reason for that is that we knew nothing about taking care of sheep. We had no experience. We wanted to make sure that everything was okay. If you remember, I told you about my foray into aquaponics that didn't work out so well, so we didn't want to make the same mistake again. So we started out small. That was our first goal. The second, also in terms of starting out small, was we used a structure that we already had. And I mentioned in the first video, the welcome video that we made, that we had created these fences for the dogs to keep them away from the highway here, because we had lost 2 of our dogs of highway. So we already had an enclosed area right next to the new greenhouse that we just finished building is in one of these areas. So we knew that we could house the sheep in here. So we didn't have to make any special fence or anything to keep them in here. And so I proceeded to prepare a bedding area for them by this tree here. We're under the tree where I prepared it, and we bought a tarp that we're still going to install here as a little covering. We're not in the rainy season yet, but when it comes, we want them to be able to be dry. And then finally, I had set up a tethering system for the sheep that was based on something that I'd seen on another YouTube channel. We didn't want to buy or invest in a lot of fencing again until we knew if the sheep were going to work out here. So we decided with the tethering system. So I had that already, the tethering system. So we felt we were ready. And everything went just fine. We went and picked up the sheep. Everything went just fine until we got them home. Then the problems started to come. And the big problem was that we made an assumption. Now in another video, I talked about some other assumptions that we had made that turned out to be failed assumptions about buying property. Well, we made a major failed assumption about the sheep. And that assumption put us down a pathway that we had not anticipated. It's not that we weren't able to adapt. We have adapted, but it did screw things up for a while until we could figure out what to do. So what happened? The big assumption that we made was that the sheep would not be afraid of us. And there was reason for that. And that's, as I've said before, we're both autistic. We have a special connection to animals. Animals like us. Animals just kind of gravitate toward us. So we assumed the same thing would happen with the sheep. Plus, all of the other videos that I had seen on YouTube about taking care of sheep, the sheep were friendly with the owners. There didn't seem to be any problems, so I didn't anticipate that there'd be problems with our sheep. Well, big surprise, big surprise. The sheep were terrified of us. That was a new experience for me. Not really terrified, but they were afraid. Skittish might be a good word to use. And then we made a major mistake. So we had a failed assumption, and we followed that with a major mistake. And that was when we brought the sheep here. They were already tethered. Each one of them had a rope around its neck. They were already tethered. And when we brought them into the enclosed area here, we thought we were being nice to them by releasing them from the tether. Now, we had already bought a couple of collars for the sheep. We could have put the collars on the sheep before we took them out of our truck, but we didn't do that because they were already tethered. We figured we didn't have to, but and we thought that the sheep would be friendly with us and we'd just be able to put the collars on them. Well, that didn't happen. That didn't happen. We took the tethers off, and the sheep didn't want us to get near them. They kept running away from us. Remember that our plan, let me back up for just a minute, because our original plan was that we would bring the sheep in here at night. They'd spend the night inside the enclosed area here, and then early in the morning I'd get up and take them out on the pasture in the morning. So there's some grass around here. Not much left anymore because the sheep had been eating it, but there was some grass around here. And I figured that'd be enough to tide them over while, until I brought them out and put them out on the pasture. Well, because the sheep didn't want to get near us and didn't want us to get near them, we couldn't put a new tether on them. So I decided that we'd use a strategy used by Morgan Gold, another YouTube channel called Goldshaw Farm. Morgan had a very similar situation. He had recently bought some Highland cattle. He brought them home, and they immediately escaped from the area that he had planned for them. He had an experience very similar to ours. And he had to use a strategy which I decided to follow. And that was to simply come out here, talk to the sheep, spend time with the sheep, let them get comfortable with us over a period of time, and then we'd be able to put the tether on the sheep or the collar, and everything would be okay. Now, we have been successful getting a collar on Kathy. We haven't got one on Ellen yet. We're hoping that by tomorrow we'll have a tether or a collar on Ellen too. But it's taken a lot more time. Okay, and what has that meant? The sheep ate all the grass. We ran out of grass. And it's been extremely hot here for Santa Ramon, for the Matagalpa area. It's been extremely hot and very, very dry. So what did we do? We couldn't go out and cut from the pasture because most of the grass is dead out there. So what we did, we went down to a town south of us called Sevaco. It's about an hour south, and bought 10 bales of hay. In previous videos, I've shared some of the music that I've written. I have another piece of music, and I'm going to show you a short segment of me loading the hay in here, putting it into the new greenhouse we have. And the background music again is music that I've written myself. So I've done that on other videos. There's new music in this one. The title of this musical tune is called Frontier Hoedown, and it's just a short thing. And I hope you like it. So we got the hay. The sheep were initially interested in it, of course, because they were hungry. But it turns out that in our area, the type of hay that they give you is made from rice, from the rice plant. It's rice hay. So what happened? It turns out our sheep don't like rice hay. Now, we didn't know that, and the guy that sold it to us, we specifically asked him, and he said, yes, they'll love it, you know. He said he had a sheep, and his sheep ate rice hay, but ours don't like it. Ours don't like it. Then we called the veterinarian, the guy that sold us the sheep, and asked him what we should do. And so the day before, I had cut some leaves from a guava tree that we have out here, and it turns out that the leaves, they ate the leaves like they were ice cream. They loved them. And he confirmed that, the veterinarian confirmed that they liked that. They like mango leaves too. So he said, cut the leaves, get whatever grass you can, and get this special concentrate, because our ewes here, our sheep, are both pregnant. And so just like human pregnancy, you know, women, we have to take a pregnancy supplemental vitamin regimen while we're pregnant. Well, the ewes kind of need something like that too. So we have this concentrate that we give them, about a pound each every day. So everything is fine now. It's taken us a lot longer to get where we want to be. We should, as I said, we should have Ellen, the collar on Ellen, which means we'll be able to take them out onto the pasture tomorrow. The pasture's not in great condition, but we have an alternative way of feeding them as well. So that's all good. We're all set, nothing to worry about. But it just goes to show that when it comes to farming, nothing ever works out the way that you originally planned it to. You can plan and plan and plan and plan, and there's always something that creates a challenge for you. And so that's what happened with us. So I'll leave it at that, and we'll see you on the next one.